Ben, I got a pitch.
Pitch it.
We're talking about a movie today, Total Recall.
Mm-hmm.
Big old budget, but it made a whole lot of money back in the day.
That's right, big bucks.
Top 5 of that year, and it's a pretty big year. Let me tell you, they didn't ever make a sequel. And I'm here to pitch this to you. Are you ready for Total Recall?
Ooh, okay, with the 2 in the front. Total Recall. This is good.
Recall.
I'm on board already.
Get your ass back to Mars.
Oh, God, it's got a ring to it, man. I want to go back to Mars with Arnie.
100%. But guess what? I'm not done. These are the days of the trilogy. I'm talking about Total Recall.
Oh my God, dude. And like you could make the 3 in the logo and stuff. It just makes sense.
Absolutely.
Total
Quaid, you never went to Mars.
Oh.
So now you have to go. Yeah.
And then like 10 years later, you get the ultra disappointing Tote Forl.
Forl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tote Forl, Reek Forl is like... Arnold's not in it, like, you know, not a lot. But then they wait about 5 years and they make Total Recall. But it's the 5th one.
Yeah, it's just the same. Right.
Yeah, but it's the 5th one.
Then you attach the year that it came out to the name. And it's not confusing anymore.
Yeah, see, we're going to make money. We're going to make money, Hollywood. Call us.
Man alive. All the hottest Hollywood ideas here in the new installment of the podcast you're listening to. It's Dead and Lovely here with the host with the mostest, me, your good buddy, Uncle Ben Eller.
And me, your other guy, Hollywood Steve Spratling.
The other one.
I got to give credit for Total Recall to Anna, who said it the other night, and I thought it was genius.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. We're going to be talking today about Total Recall from, what is this, 1990? Is that right?
1990, yeah. And by the way, one of the screenwriters in the making of for this, like, seriously, he'd been working on it since 1974, and he calls it Total Recall.
Nuh-uh.
Yep.
That just doesn't sound right at all. Total Recall?
No, it does not.
No, it needs to be Recall.
It's Recall, guy. Come on.
Oh, that's fucked up, man. I hate hearing that. That's disappointing, actually.
I know. Well, he's
got a point deducted from the score just for that.
He's got really big eyebrows, so that explains some of it.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, he brings some charm back with them big old bushy eye caterpillars he's got.
Yeah, he's like, Total Recall, and then wiggles those eyebrows, and you're like, all right, bing, whatever. Bing, bing. Yeah,
I get it, man. Big ol' eyebrows will get away with a lot of stuff, I'll tell you that, man.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to be busting this sci-fi wild card down for you guys later on in the episode. This is not our usual fare. It's not exactly a horror movie, although there are things that happen in this that are horrifying, and it is violent as fuck.
And some of the best practical gore effects you'll ever see.
Oh my God, man, right? But we wanted to give you guys something a little different here for the week of Creatmas, whether you're celebrating, whether you're not celebrating, maybe you're straight up grinching, and you just want to have yourself a good time. That is what we are here to do with this wild card installment. If you want to get straight to the movie talk about Total Recall, there's a timestamp for you in the podcast description. You can get your ass to there, but I recommend you get your ass to getting them socks and shoes off and hanging out with Chuck Boys while we catch up, shoot the shit, and have a good time. I'm also going to have myself a beer cold.
Oh, yeah?
You want to have one?
I don't have one to have, but I'm going to sit over here, and I'm just going to have a memory of a time I had a beer. It'll be similar, like.
Isn't this a country song? Like, have one to have, a memory about a beer? Like, have one to have.
She was the sweetest thing I ever held.
Fortunately, Anheuser-Busch has implanted memories in your head about every co-beer you've ever had. You've never had a beer. You've just had the memories of having a co-beer. What about that?
What would be the difference, you think? Oh, you know what? Save some calories.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'd probably be a few, like, pant sizes smaller in the waist, I would say.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Now, don't give them any ideas. Corporations are all over this, I'm sure. How can we convince them they had our product without selling it to them?
Right? And they pay for it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
sure.
What's coming into my face here in just a moment is another one. That's the name of a beer from Burley Oak Brewing Company in Berlin, Maryland. I believe this is a Roger Dean Miller contribution to this beer that's coming in my face.
Coming in your face.
Yep. Coming in cold.
Oh, no.
What?
Listen, I don't know what I would want it to be, but cold sounds wrong.
It doesn't sound like that's how you'd want it, right?
No.
Maybe it's refreshing, though, you know?
Oh, yeah, it's like...
Ooh, cooled me down,
like... in the sauna. Yeah. You just blow it, dude. He cools you down some.
Woo, man, I was working up a sweat. It's like when you have like a cool wash rag over your forehead, and it really just chills you out really good, you know?
Listen, I encourage anybody here listening to us right now, just go out, blow somebody right now, see if they got cold cum. If they do, that's your pal next time it's hot.
Mm-hmm. That's right, man. That's the original cold compress that you put on your head to cool down.
This is our holiday
compress. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas is coming. This is pretty good. It's a double India Pale Ale. It's 8.4 percentile of alcohol. It's decent. I'm not going to say it's like mind-blowing, but you know what? I should have had this fresher. This is one of those ones that I found towards the back of the fridge, and I was like, oh, shit, how long has this been back here? Probably should have had it sometime earlier, but it is a delight. Pretty goddamn good if you ask me.
That sounds awesome. I haven't had an IPA in a little bit.
Yeah?
Maybe I'll try one. Kinder near. Boop, 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 boop. Whatever I'm saying.
Kinder near.
There you go. Kinder near. That's what I meant.
I'll try one kinder near my face next time. You know?
My brain seriously just went, I don't know. Just say whatever. Just let it out. Kinder
Let the
near.
words out.
Yeah.
You been brain drained this week or what?
Yeah, it's a lot of
holidays.
Yeah, a lot of stress and anxiety because we gotta find an apartment and move. And
ask Sandy for one.
Well, you know what? I will. I'm gonna ask Sandy for an apartment and see if he'll like co-sign and just make the payments.
Well, you and I are both experts on moving during the holidays. You and I have both done this and know how great it is.
It's such a good time. Everybody loves it.
It's the right time to move the holidays.
It is. It is. We're not actually moving till the end of January. So that's good. We're able to avoid actually doing it at the holidays. So
still, all the packing and shit.
Yeah, all the packing.
You gotta get started a month in advance at least.
And actually finding a place and stuff like it's blah.
Kind of
not
a lot.
Fun. Yeah, not fun. Anyway, so the brain's not going great, but hey, it's Christmas time. We got the Christmas tree up. We're actually making Christmas cookies tonight, even though we are recording this like 2 weeks ahead of Christmas.
Right.
We wanted some Christmas cookies.
Man, I wanted to make a bunch of Christmas cookies this year. Like Oma passing away and basically, 2 weeks of the holiday season being eaten up by all the family and funeral and all that jazz going on around that has really eaten into my holiday time. I've made some Chex Mix, which is, of course, the best. I make the best Chex Mix. I will brag about it because I am correct.
Okay.
But I haven't made a Christmas cookie or nothing, none.
Yeah, Anna's mom sent along a really great Christmas cookie recipe. Made it last year. Really enjoyed it. Just made the dough last night. You want to let it sit like at least overnight to kind of saturate.
That's a secret.
Yeah, that is a secret. So it's been sitting overnight. As soon as we're done recording, we're going to fire up some cookies.
Ooh. So what kind of cookie is it then?
It's a sugar cookie.
Okay,
But it's got nutmeg and a little lemon extract in it. And just like, it's so perfect. It like that, the combo of the nutmeg, the vanilla, the lemon extract, it just really hits the spot.
Well, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, hope you guys enjoy making yourself a Christmas festive treat. Maybe I will get around to doing that myself. We got a little bit of time here before the holidays, but I have a feeling it's going to get plumb busy around these parts, so I better do it while I've got the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anytime you can just take some time out and make cookies is worth it. Right? And you don't really want to do that in like hotter weather time. So this is like the perfect time. Just second you can just steal away for, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this, because this is a holiday episode and we don't care to take fucking side tangents and
absolutely
stretch and so on. Yeah, because we usually are so conservative.
Yeah, no, normally we're real quick to the
straight
point.
to the point.
Yeah.
If somebody hands you a chocolate chip cookie and it has anything in it other than chocolate chips, I'm talking about an additive of maybe a walnut or a pecan, a peanut, a raisin. How are you feeling about that?
Okay, so I don't like nuts in chocolate chip cookies. There are cookies. I used to just say I don't like nuts in cookies, but there are cookies that I do like nuts in now. Like
now, a white chocolate macadamia.
Well, yeah, exactly. Great. But here's my thing. Okay, I worked long and hard on a cookie recipe, and I landed on something that you couldn't exactly call a chocolate chip cookie recipe, though that's where I started. But there are peanut butter chips in there as well, and potato chips.
Oh, see, it's like a trash can cookie. Like, I love that shit. That's what I was going to say. Like, if it's just a chocolate chip cookie with a nut in it, no thanks. But if it's a chocolate chip cookie with nuts and pieces of pretzels and peanut butter chips and just M&Ms and just garbage in them, then fuck yeah, I'm okay with it. But just a chocolate chip cookie, don't gild the lily. It's not going to make it better.
That's true. Yes, if somebody, that's kind of true. Like, I wouldn't say to somebody like, my cookie is a chocolate chip cookie. I'd be like, these cookies are whip ass, and they have chocolate chips in them.
Yeah, it's a stoner cookie. It's got fucking everything.
Yeah, when you go for a chocolate chip cookie, you just want chocolate chips. And
that's exactly right.
Whatever type you like. I like it to be chewy, but I do like a nice crisp bottom. To me, that's perfect.
Dude, I had a fucking dangerously fantastic treat earlier today. So, my wife, she was...
Your wife was the dangerously fantastic treat.
She was so fantastic. Dangerously so.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing, though. She was getting tattooed at Rosie's Tattoo here in Knoxville for like 6.5 hours today, which is insane. Fucking pain marathon. There's no way I could do that. Getting her whole leg covered in a dang old snack. Fucking sick, man. Looks amazing.
That's right.
But I went to pick her up, and on our way out, passed by this little table of goodies that one of the artists that works at the shop makes candies and stuff, and they sell them bagged up in the shop. And so we got a couple of bags of these candies because they looked fucking awesome. Took them home, dude. Holy fucking shit. So they are freeze-dried Skittles.
Okay.
That have been rolled around in tahini.
Okay.
So because they've been freeze-dried, they're kind of like burst. Like, it almost looks like that white interior of a Skittle has like burst through the shell. And they're almost crunchy like a cereal, like Trix or something.
Okay.
And then you have the salty component and the heat component of the tahini on them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, it is out of control. I wish I was eating them right now.
Okay.
Fucking insane, man.
All right. I'm very interested in trying that. I like a Skittle, and I like everything you just said. So there you go.
There's something about the texture of them where it is just this crunchy candy that's also kind of salty and hot. Holy God, man.
Crunchy candy, salty, unreal. Hot. Yeah, that does sound good. Yeah, it sounds good to me. Yeah.
That's right. That's what I put on my Tinder profile, too, just so you know. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You doing well on there over on the Tinder?
Nope. No hits. Not a thing.
Damn it. That's a shame.
Not a damn thing. Well, man, it's been a pretty busy week with the funeral and all that jazz. My work kind of got put on hold, so I've been trying to get back on it and crank out some content, do some practicing, get back on it, work on some collaborative videos that'll be coming out later this month that I'm very excited about. And, it has been very fucking busy. In fact, so busy, I have watched merely one scant movie this week.
What did you watch?
It is on the Hulu, and I was sold merely based on the cast. It is a movie called Christmas with the Campbells. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
So I think it came out last year, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted to watch it because it's got Justin Long in it, which means it's going to be weird right away. You know something is going to be off about it. And it's also got, what is her name, dude? The blonde from X? Is it like Brittany Snow?
Brittany Snow.
Like yeah. Mm-hmm. She's the main character in it. And it's got a bunch of other people in there, too. Dude, this movie is fucking bizarre. I think everybody needs to watch this. And I wish I knew the entire story of how the entire thing came about. Because it has the storyline, the look, the feel, even a lot of the dialogue of just any piece of shit Hallmark Christmas movie.
Okay.
Which I am kind of a sucker for anyway.
Yes.
But it totally dead on nails the feel of this. But it almost makes you think they bought like some kind of shitty spec script Hallmark Christmas movie and then just invited a bunch of lunatic, weird-ass actors like Justin Long to come and be in the movie and just have them do with it what they wanted to.
Well, that sounds fun.
And then Brittany, the main character in there, it seems like they didn't change any of her lines from just being a Hallmark movie. So as far as I can tell, she's just in a normal movie, and everybody else around her is acting like a fucking lunatic. And it's bizarrely filthy at times.
Uh-huh.
And then incredibly corny at some times. Dude, this accent that Justin Long is doing, I swear to God, like every line that he has is fucking hysterical. Absolutely hilarious.
I have never heard of this. What's it called again?
Christmas with the Campbells.
Christmas with the
Watch
Campbells.
it.
Okay.
Dude, you'll die. And it's one of those movies, man, that I'm telling you, you could go over to like your parents' house and just have it on in the background at, family Christmas gathering.
Uh-huh.
And if the sound was low, nobody would know anything weird was going on. Nobody would know anything bizarre and filthy and strange was happening. You'll get it when you see it. Like, you got to watch this movie.
I'm interested.
It's on Hulu.
I'm definitely interested. So, that sounds so bizarre.
It really is.
I love that idea.
It really is. Oh yeah, you'll get what I mean when you see it. It just it's so close to being a legit movie, but then it's not really at all.
Okay.
Other than that, we just had a bunch of crap on while we've been doing stuff around the house. I put on The Night Before Christmas, one of my favorite big pieces of shit. Have you seen that one? That's Knight.
No, what?
Oh, dude, it's the fucking worst. It's got Vanessa Hudgens in it, and it's got a guy playing a knight that's like, we have Heath Ledger at home, basically.
Okay.
And have you seen, what is that fucking movie? Kate and Leopold, where, time travel comes into the modern world. It's that, but with a knight and Vanessa Hudgens and Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Dude, it is incredibly stupid. Like, holy shit. It's ridiculous.
I'm convinced just by the title that it's incredibly stupid.
Oh, man. Huge piece of garbage. It's totally over that line where it's so bad that it's fun to watch. I can't deal with the Hallmark stuff that's just actually kind of whatever. Like, it has to be fucking horrible for me.
I agree.
This is horrible.
Yeah, it needs to be just full on cheese. Just Melissa Joan Hart and Mario Lopez not even trying. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely so, man. So that was pretty fun. And I'm trying to think. We just had other just random stuff on. Just Christmas movies that we've seen before. Trying to drum up a little bit of holiday spirit as we close in on the big day.
The big day. When the big man comes down the chimney and gives us all the things we desire, unless you've been bad.
Then he'll slap you on the ass.
Yeah, he slaps that little ass and he says, how's that? And if you like it, he's madder at you.
Yeah, even worse. Then he does it again.
Yeah, then he does it again, but in a worse, like more hurtful way. And if you like that, boy, you're going to end up kissing Santa Claus because that's what he's into.
Yeah. And then he puts coal in your butt. Yeah.
Yep. Cole's his friend.
He spits on it first. Yeah.
Of course he spits on it first. Come on. He's Santa Claus.
Yep.
So, speaking of kind of cheesy movies, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and Home Alone 3 we watched those.
Man, Home Alone 2, dude. Like, it's one of those that I watch about every year. I haven't done it this year. Man, he really should have done something to help that bird lady out.
He should have.
Some turtle doves.
Just anything. Like, well,
yeah,
just like anything.
How about a meal? I don't know. Anything,
Nothing at all.
No. Maybe just turtle doves.
Yeah. Home Alone 3, this was the first time I've ever watched it.
Never seen it.
And, we're doing the Home Alone Hell Rankers because there are 6 Home Alone movies, apparently.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we watched Home Alone 3, and it is written by, John Hughes. My brain farted again. Written by John Hughes, and honestly, it's like a late 90s action thriller / like silly kids movie. Like it's the weirdest vibe, but it was fun. Like I honestly had more fun with it than Home Alone 2.
Okay.
But it's not good. I'm not saying it's good.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, so that Home Alone Hell Ranker should be out before Christmas. And we got 4 and 5 coming up, and those are both made for TV. And I'm just wondering, like, how's this going to go? Like, what is this going to be?
Go rough.
Yeah. Speaking of Home Alone movies, we watched Dial Code Santa, a.k.a. Deadly Games, a.k.a. 1-800-SANTA.
I remember you've talked about it before, though.
It's cool, man. It's a French, Christmas horror movie, home invasion, kid protects his family, etc.
Does he protect their baguettes and brie? And escargot. Are the escargots safe?
I don't know if those things are safe in the end. I feel like they were, but they should have shown like just one big frame of like, okay, all the baguettes, the escargot, that's all good.
I would love, though, if I watched this movie and there is a scene where one of the robbers like got knocked down, and then the French Cavon, I guess it would be called, he puts like a big escargot on the guy's face, and he goes, "Sacre bleu!" Just like screams it really loud. That's French Home Alone right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out Dial Code Santa, Deadly Games, whatever it's called. You'll find it. Also, we watched Ocean's 13 because we watched Ocean's 11 and 12 kind of recently. And I was in no hurry to watch Ocean's 13, but boy,
no one is. Yeah, nobody ever really is.
They didn't even try, did they?
I don't think so. It seems very cynical to me, where it's just like, you're going to see it. Who gives a shit? We put all these people together again. We filmed something. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. Yeah. And it's just so like, meh. It's still got, all the, things that you like, but no story and no stakes.
No, not really. You need that. Yeah, you do need that. God, that first one's so good, though, man.
It is. It really is. Also watched a biopic on Lon Chaney called Man of 1,000 Faces, and did a Legacy Brutality Patreon exclusive episode on it. And I'll tell you what, if you're looking for biopics about Lon Chaney, this is the one. When it's not very good.
Okay, so of all of them, it is the best one by default.
By default, it had an Academy Award nomination for the screenplay, and that is embarrassing. When I was watching it, I was like, this screenplay was nominated for an Academy Award in 1957. That is like
57.
An indictment on all movies at the time. Like, it is so melodramatic. It is. Anyway, we talked about it a good bit and talked about, the inaccuracies and whatnot of it over there on the Legacy Brutality Patreon, so go check that out. And then also on Friday night we did a movie called we did Dial Code Santa. On Sunday night we did a movie called Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny, which
the fuck is that?
Dude. So
Ice
Lori
Cream Bunny?
Yeah, so Lori I think saw this when she was younger and it creeped her out. And she found it on YouTube, and so we watched it. And it's not a horror movie. It's supposedly a kids movie, but it's creepier than a lot of horror movies I've seen. And also just, like, so befuddling. As you're watching, you're like, why? Like, why is this... Like, who... Like, you sat down and you were like, I'm gonna make this movie about Santa Claus getting lost in Florida and his sleigh getting stuck in the beach, and he needs the help of little children to get flying again, and the children go and get an ice cream bunny to come help. And in between that is an entire different movie. Like, opening credits of a different movie, and then the whole movie, closing credits, and then the resolution of the story about Santa Claus and the ice cream bunny.
What the fuck?
It's crazy. It's wild. And it's
sounds
creepy.
Like a fever dream, man.
Yes, exactly. 100%. It was like a fever dream.
Peanut butter solution fever dream.
Yes, yeah.
For sure.
Less pubes for sure, but...
Oh, man. That's most movies, though.
Also on Saturday, Jack of All Graves had a watch along, and we watched The Gate with Steven Dorff.
Fuck yeah. God damn, I love that movie, dude. That's
a lot of
fun.
Great, like stop motion stuff and little guy in a suit stuff and whatnot and that. It's a weird one.
Yeah, that's a fun one. 80s as fuck, man.
Well, watching it, because I know you absolutely love it, and I only kind of remembered it from childhood, and I think I'd kind of rewatched it recently, but didn't really pay much attention. That nerdy kid who loves metal, that's just you, right?
Yeah, that's totally me. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I realized watching it, I was like, oh, I see why he loves this.
Right? It's like, okay, it's not me, it's the child that I wish I would have been.
Right, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's totally who I would have been if I wasn't listening to Petra Means Praise and PFR, Jars of Clay, stuff like that.
Yeah, that kid, like, I knew so many of that kid in, like, middle school and high school, and he's cool. He's rad.
He's cool as shit, dude.
Yeah,
that kid fucks for sure.
He does.
He gets paid. You know it. Damn, man. Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I've been watching.
What a week of watching indeed. Hopefully I'll have some time to get some more of my favorite holiday classics in, man. I've not watched an Elf yet. I've not watched a Muppet Christmas Carol. I've not watched a fucking Die Hard yet, man.
I need to watch a Muppet Christmas Carol. I need to watch a Die Hard. And this year I really Colin has had this in the smoking bowl for a while. It's the Adult Swim Yule Log special, which is actually a horror movie. I didn't know. Yeah, so I'm gonna watch that this year. Yeah, but I haven't watched a lot of my traditional movies yet. We've got Home Alone 1 and 2 down, so that's good.
Yeah,
but there's so many out there that I normally watch. But we're recording this a little early. Let's not get too hard on ourselves. We got all the time in the world.
Yeah, we got a little time left, man.
Yeah,
I hope so
spirit.
Because I've not even started a Return of the King yet, dude. This time last year, I think I'd already cruised through the trilogy at least 2 or 3 times. I'm partially through Two Towers right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get on that soon. I had not even considered that. You gotta. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna join the Fellowship. You're not gonna watch them get split up. You're not gonna watch some of them reunited.
Come on, dude.
And wars and battles and things of that.
You're not gonna watch Vigo break his toe on that helmet
and then point it out to somebody nearby, like, "Hey, he actually broke his toe on that." Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Not that? Come on. What are you? Some kind of a square or a druggist? Get out of here.
Or a square
out of here,
druggist.
Yeah, you're addicted to drugs.
Oh, I thought we were taking down pharmacists finally.
Yeah, go back there and count some pills in a bottle, you fucking
asshole.
square. Acting all pretentious. You got to be higher up than me for some reason. What's with that?
Yeah, what is with that, pharmacists?
I don't know. It just seems so pretentious to me.
It is. They want you to be looking up to them so that they can be like, your prescription costs $600, and you just
Please,
go, I guess so.
May I have some drugs? You say,
might I have some insulin so that I don't die? No.
I think no, says the druggist.
You've had insulin this past month. Should be enough.
Should be enough for you, sir. I'm sitting right now in my old school, what do I call it? Tower of Terror. My yes. office chair that randomly the hydraulic pump lets go and I just drop several inches.
Every time it happens, it's a fun time for the podcast. So
it's always exciting.
I hope it hits you this time.
Oh, it already has multiple times. I'm doing that because my good chair, it needs a little greasing down. It's gotten really squeaky, and I've not had time to hit it with some water displacement Formula 40 yet. So I'm here in the Tower of Terror, and it is just scaring the shit out of me periodically. It's keeping me at attention, though.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, you're probably engaging your core more because you're thinking, oh, what if it crashes down? So this is basically exercise. Yeah,
it's pretty much exercise. Okay, I'm going to call it a workout. So we'll call it that.
2 hours of core work.
Whew, man alive, dude. Well, guys, we are here to be talking today about Total Recall, which is, of course, a movie featuring everyone's favorite, everyday, normal guy, jacked as shit, all-American man with a strong Austrian accent. That is one Arnie Schwarzenegger, correct?
Yeah, the most American things I can think of. Apple pie and baseball.
You know, weirdly enough, though, the most, like, American band, to me, is AC/DC, who are not American, even remotely.
Wow, that's a good point, though.
But honestly, they sound so American. Like, you want to see fucking...
Yeah.
You want to see Angus Young with a jetpack and an American flag behind him at all times. He's the most American non-American, for sure.
Yeah, you listen to AC/DC, and it does sound like motor oil and, like...
Beer.
Yeah, beer. And, like, just a little... If you listen close enough in there, like... a little bit of like not getting vaccinated, just a little bit.
Probably a little bit in there, right? Yeah,
just a tinge in there, and it's like, that's pretty American. I don't know.
And Arnie is so American to me too, and I don't know why that is, but there's nothing more like blue-blooded, wholesome American than an Arnie action movie, and I cannot figure out why.
Well, I mean, I honestly would say that the guy is he's a conservative. We talked about this, I think, around the Predator episode, maybe, or Terminator, or whatever. But yeah, he's politically a conservative guy. And I watched an interview on Arsenio Hall of him for this movie, and it just like I was taken aback to remember just how openly misogynist people were in 1990. They sure were. Yeah, it
was kind of the norm.
Yeah, he just like sounds real bad. Like if he had that interview now, people would be like, "What the fuck?" Like, and he either has changed or at the very least has learned not to say certain things. But I think certainly his own interests were often in the like ultra virile, ultra violent movies, but he does, as we talked about with Running Man and stuff, he does seem to end up in a lot of movies that like question the validity of capitalism and stuff. And it's like, does he just not see this stuff, or
I don't know,
like what's going on? Because I know politically he doesn't really align with those ideals. I don't know, but
good
anyway,
question, man.
Yeah,
but we all love ourselves an Arnie movie, and this week in the Preview Palace, we're going to do our best to construct our very model of the most ideal Arnie roles. We're going to try to bring to you guys a fully erected Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. I love it.
Yes, in the Preview Palace.
Welcome to the Preview Palace. And of course, as we enter into talking about Mount Rushmore, just a big fuck you, Mount Rushmore, and
it's dumb and bad. Yeah,
dumb and bad.
Okay, I will say, I'll totally put it out there.
Yeah,
the engineering and artistry of the entire thing, mind blowing. For them to have made that when they did, human hands made that. That's kind of insane.
Sure,
but the entire principle behind the thing, it's very stupid.
And also, whenever we talk, like, because it's a cultural ideal at this point to say Mount Rushmore, and people just know, like, you're saying your top 4 guys, right? like the best four, the four best people or the four best things or whatever.
I assure you, those were not the four best people.
Right? Teddy Roosevelt's on there. What? Why?
It's a little confusing.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore should be three, like your three top and one that would get you like yelled at by people, because that's what probably. Mount Rushmore is.
Well, that might very well be what we're constructing here, because maybe. I know that everybody probably has their own hot take about what should be the Mount Rushmore of Arnie movies, and we even have maybe a slight discrepancy ourselves for what will take that number 4 spot. So we'll get to that, but let's kick it off here with some of the obvious ones. In fact, ones that we've covered here on the show.
Yeah.
What do you know about one Jimmy James Cameron's Terminator Dose? Because my God, man, you want to tell me that that's not a benchmark Arnie flick? Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Terminator 1, great. Also James Cameron, a lot of great practical effects. It's pretty much a slasher sci-fi movie.
Yeah, but nihilistic, very dark.
Yeah, Terminator 2 is like a revelation. It is like just full on like action with some of the best effects you could come up with throughout the 90s, and it came out in 92. Incredible. Like it's amazing. He's great in it because he's given a little more range. Of course, he's still playing a robot, but he's given a little more range to have interactions and to develop sympathy from the audience and whatnot, and he does a great job with what he's got. And as we said, it's also just a great action movie.
Come on, Guns N' Roses. What are you going to complain about? Budnick on a dirt bike? Give it to me, baby.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Arnie's performance in it, like you said, he is a robot and is therefore very cold and inhuman. But the physicality to pull that off, like when he is, moving in to the Skynet office and just blowing all those people away with that coldly calculated, emotionless, like perfect aim, just shooting everybody exactly where he means to, and just fearlessly strutting through that, that wall of police officers and shit. God damn, dude, the physicality there speaks so highly of his acting abilities to me.
Yeah, and like I think it really is like. We already knew Arnie was an action star, but it just solidified him as like the guy, like
totally.
If he can take this character that again is a robot and doesn't have a whole lot to it and make something of it, and as you said, make the physicality something very unique that other people can do, but maybe the fact that he is a gigantic man. And he also can be very stilted and robotic and just keep full control of his muscles. I mean, we saw that in RoboCop, of course. But for an actor to do that, that's a lot of discipline. And
absolutely, yeah.
He shows that he, at the very least, he can overcome the fact that sometimes his line reads aren't great. Because
totally.
This is a robot.
But it's also, too, I think the fact that if you saw the first Terminator where he was the antagonist and he was bad and scary and you weren't rooting for him at all, and then his performance in 2 gets you on his side. He's playing that same character again, but in a completely different way. And that is very impressive from an acting standpoint.
Yeah, it is.
God damn, dude. Might be the best action movie ever. Like, I flip-flop on that and, like, Fury Road, because, God damn, Fury Road is good.
Great. Yeah.
Woo.
I don't even know. Like, for me, I don't know what I would put up there, but Terminator 2 is up there, for sure.
That's an easy choice,
Yeah.
By the way, did you see the trailer for the next Fury Road movie? Furiosa?
No, I haven't. I saw some screenshots from it.
Fuck, man.
Is it looking awesome?
It's going to be glorious. I cannot wait. I cannot fucking wait, man.
Oh, Jesus. Glorious day.
Yeah, that's right, man. Okay, let's hit another high point in the Arnie world. What do you know about a Predator?
A Predator. Well, listen here. One of my favorite movies as a kid. Saw it again as a teenager. One of my favorite movies as a teenager. Saw it again as an adult. Still one of my favorite movies.
Fuck yeah.
Predator. Man, it's
10.
It is. It's tense. in a way that you want from an action movie. You have a antagonist that has no real agenda except to win, and that's awesome. Like it's hard to root against him, honestly, because it's like, yeah, I guess fair to him, right? Like, these guys got guns, he's got guns. Let's see who wins.
Seems like a fair fight, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in that movie, he is very much the idea of Arnie when you think about Arnie. He is a huge jacked fucking guy that's always strapped with guns and bullets and blowing shit away and blowing shit up and punching people to death and kicking people apart. It is very much the typical Arnie kind of role. But as we talked about whenever we did that episode on the show a while back, man, like the interpersonal relationships are amazing. And then even getting to see, especially the back half of the movie, where it's mainly him alone after everybody's been killed off, and he is just by himself trying to figure out how to survive this and how to beat the Predator. He does so much nonverbal acting. He does a lot of acting with his eyes and his facial expressions, and you can see his thought process of trying to set these traps and figure out how to survive this. It's a fucking fantastic role for him.
Yeah, he does an amazing job. And of course, like they also just found, G.I. Joes. Like, kids were playing with these huge muscular characters all the time. They had a movie where it was like, hey, what if your action figures were, fighting a bad guy? And as a kid, it was like, yeah, what if? That's really cool. So,
fuck yeah.
Yeah, having all the, like, big action starry type guys and all that stuff, it just feels bigger than it is, because it's a lot of dudes just walking in the woods, honestly.
Oh yeah, and Shane Black's shitty jokes.
Yeah.
God, dude, Predator just continues to age like a fine wine. That movie, every time I watch it, it is such a fucking blast. And Arnie is, of course, pivotal in what makes it amazing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Total Recall, man.
Yeah,
I can't deny it.
Number 3, right up there.
It's gotta be.
This movie, Total Recall, is, man, it's great. It is, I don't want to talk about it too much here, just in case people do skip this to go straight to the
losers
review portion. But I do feel that way about you. I think that this movie, not only, are we looking at the last time that a huge budget movie would use all practical effects. Well, almost all. There are very minimal CGI. Yeah, but and this is, the cast is going huge, just like any Verhoeven movie, and it's just like all out, balls to the wall, violent action and amazing practical effects and stuff, while also having the mind-bending element. Like, it's up there. It's great, right?
Totally, man. And we get to see him play. It's hilarious to think of him as an everyman when he
we'll talk about
sounds,
that.
is built the way that he is. Like, no, he is by no means an everyman at all. But
not at all.
He does go from having this kind of mundane life to suddenly being in this role of being a undercover agent, a super spy that's an action star that blows shit up and kicks ass. And there's a good balance in this movie, too, in Total Recall, of him being, serious action beats and some funny, quippy stuff that's not as over the top as, say, Running Man, where it's very quippy. Or,
yes.
I mean, God forbid, fucking him as Mr. Freeze, where it's nothing but quips, obviously.
He was killing it, yeah.
Oh, my God. He's still fucking fantastic in that.
Yeah,
that's the thing, It's so good, man. And I want to gush about this movie more as we get into the review, of course. But to me, having just rewatched this for the first time in a while, there's no way this couldn't be on my Mount Rushmores for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this absolutely belongs up there. So it's the fourth one. It's the
fourth one, dude.
That's where
this is where it's gonna pivot, right?
Yeah.
Like, some people would throw a Conan at you.
Sure, yeah. Well, that's not a terrible choice, honestly. Like, he's the
iconic
star. He's iconic. He's, They used his voice, right? It's not like Hercules in New York. It's his actual voice. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that's a solid one. There's also Commando, another favorite of mine as a kid, which is
Commando's great, man.
Yeah, just like real overblown action, like over the top. I very much enjoy that.
Almost put True Lies on here for myself.
Solid. That's Jimmy Cameron too.
I love it, man. Yeah, that's also him, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. And
yeah,
he gets to play around with that character in some really fun ways. Not as over the top and just straight comedic as something like Jingle All the Way, which I also love. I unabashedly love Jingle All the Way. I know you do.
I know eventually I'm gonna have to watch it because Anna has not seen it. Take a shot.
Oh, gotta take a shot on that one.
And I haven't seen it in a long time, so maybe it's more. It's got Sinbad in it, and I do love Sinbad, so
yep,
I'll have to check it out again. But I mean, for me, this one, like, I kind of flip-flopped on a few, but for me, I think it's Last Action Hero.
It's so fucking good, and I just watched that for the first time this year while I was zonked the fuck out. Or wait, it wasn't this year, it was last year. While I was zonked the fuck out after having my wisdom teeth removed. I was like super, super put out on the couch, and Kate put that one on and made me mashed potatoes.
That's great.
It was an enjoyable fucking time. I will tell you that. It's a great way to watch that movie.
Yeah, I mean, you got John McTiernan, director of Die Hard, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then like all the just full-on wall-breaking, like every single cameo you can imagine, cartoon cat, Charles Dance is the villain. Like it's got so much going for it, and also at the same time it came out at a time where the kid in it was about the same age as me, and I talked about this with Home Alone. Like it felt like there were so many movies through the 80s and 90s where the kid was about my age, and so I really like connected with the kid getting to do all these fun things. Like in Home Alone, he gets to set up the traps and beat up Joe Pesci.
Childhood fantasy fulfillment, man. It's a drug.
Absolutely. Everybody wanted to beat up Joe Pesci. But the Last Action Hero was kid gets sucked into the movies, gets to hang out with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I was a huge Schwarzenegger fan as a kid. So, like, Last Action Hero, great. Just love it.
Hell yeah.
Watching it as an adult, it's like, oh, this is a great action movie. And it's honestly not a kid's movie at all.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally, man. God, it's good, man. That's a fun one. So that's your fourth choice, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'd put up there. What about you?
Man, I might go for a Kindergarten Cop. I really might go full on Kindergarten Cop. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Dude, it's just so full of iconic, funny Arnie moments. And it's also so fun to see him, who we're used to just seeing him, excel and kick ass and blow shit up. But you put him in a room with a bunch of kindergartners and he fails. That's so fun to see. It's fun to see Arnie do bad and not be in control of a situation. That's so rare.
I think, I could imagine some people might put The Expendables up there. I haven't watched those movies. And
they're fun, but like the thing is, to me, there's so many people in that. It's hard to find time for him to shine because everybody's in that fucking movie.
And I know he's in that like zombie movie, Maggie. I have not seen, but I hear he's great in it.
It's really good. Like that's one of his more emotive performances for sure. I almost considered putting that on there because it's probably his best acting role.
Right. But yeah,
Days is cool. There's so many to choose from, man.
Yeah, I think like we're definitely showing our age and our choices for
sure.
Best Arnie performances on Mount Rushmore. But yeah, I'd like to hear what other people have to say. What's your Mount Rushmore? Head on over there to that Facebook. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the Facebook group. Sign up today. Join up. Post with your fellow cool people on there, and let us know what your top 4 Arnie roles are. We would love to hear about them. But now you're about to hear about a Johnny Cab.
You are about to hear about a Johnny Cab. That's right. Robert Picardo stars in Total Recall.
1990. Holy fucking shit, dude. Do you remember the first time you saw this movie, or was it an implanted memory?
No, I might be. It is very vivid, though. My mom had recently broken up with her boyfriend, who, here's the tea, everybody. Anybody wanting to know about the most recent my mom rumors? Oh, my mom is back with her boyfriend, who she had broken up with at that point.
No way.
In 1990. Yeah.
Back with him again.
Back with him 33 years later.
Second time around. Yeah. Damn, picking it right back up. How about that?
It's wild. We had moved in with her friend, and we were staying with them for a couple months, and we would just rent movies all the time, and we had rented Pretty Woman and Total Recall. I remember. God. What a night.
What a time to be alive, dude.
Absolutely. Shit. Yeah. So, I do remember. And I remember, of course, the three titties that really stood out. But the thing that, honestly, to me as a kid, stood out the most was the, them out on the surface of Mars, faces just distorting. That as a kid,
oh my God, the movie
starts
there, dude.
Yeah.
It starts with them being thrown out into that, negative atmosphere place, and their eyes bugging out of their heads and their tongues swelling up. It's so
it's
fucking
not
disturbing.
That same moment. It is a different moment, which is interesting because he is having a dream about them in spacesuits. And only he falls down the side of the cliff. And So this is whatever that is, and we'll get to what that might be.
Right.
That moment is different than any moment that happens in the future. So
what an intro, though. Fuck.
Yeah.
Totally iconic.
I think as a kid, though, I just watched this straightforward and was like, oh, okay, well, he went to go have that memory implanted, and it didn't take, and he went to Mars.
Yeah. And you can watch it that way, and it's fine.
Sure can. Yeah. When was the first time you saw this?
Man, it was many years ago, because this is one that Kate and her family grew up watching, and they were all big fans of. Kate's dad is a super macho guy and loves Arnie movies and shit, so they grew up watching that stuff. I did not. I didn't see this until I was an adult. And I was blown away. I didn't know what to expect because the movie box for this one doesn't really sell anything.
No,
it doesn't really tell you anything about what it could be. It looks like it's maybe Arnie and it's in space or something. And the title Total Recall doesn't really tell you anything at all.
So not at all.
I had no idea what this was going to be about. And I remember watching it with them and really enjoying it. And of course, everybody remembers Three Titty Woman and all that jazz. Get your ass to Mars, the high points there. And it had been years since I watched this, years and years and years. And just sat down and checked it out the other night here for the show. And goddamn, dude, it just jumped up my list of favorite big ass sci-fi action Arnie flicks, man. It really, really hit me this time where I'm I have so little to complain about this movie. It's just fucking fantastic. I really, really got into this flick.
Okay. Well, now I remember we were talking about maybe doing John Wick, and then you texted me and you were like, "Total Recall, dude.
Yeah,
Total Recall." What did something strike you? Were you looking at a comic book from the 1990s, or?
I don't even know. Honestly, it was one of those things that just came to me where I was like, I haven't watched Total Recall in a long time.
Well, hey, listen, I'm glad you picked it because not only was it a fun watch, and of course fun doing the research because there's a lot to talk about here, but also just this was the first time I had rewatched it in a long time, and it was the first time I was like, oh, this is the memory. The whole thing's the memory. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Got it,
dude.
Yeah.
And that's what's fun about this, man. Every time that you watch it, it is like a choose your own adventure. You can choose to sit down and watch this as the movie it presents you, where he is already this double agent that's had his memory wiped, and all these things that happen are the result of stuff that he did in his past, and that's just how it is. What you see is what you get.
Yep.
You can watch the whole thing and be like, man, as soon as that shot goes in his neck, everything after that is the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other layers you can watch on top of that too.
Yes, there are, and we'll get to them because
God damn.
Yeah, I fully came to believe that the entire thing is the memory from beginning to end, and that the person having the memory doesn't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I wonder about that.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea because ultimately, if from the very beginning, even before he goes to Total Recall, from the opening credits, if this is the implanted memory that you're watching, you're right. Somebody could have chosen, like, in my dream, I want to be, fucking 6'20", weighs a fucking ton, Arnold Schwarzenegger that's jacked. My wife is Sharon Stone, but I also really want to be with this other beautiful woman. Like, this might just be the choosings of the person whose memory that we're watching here entirely.
Yeah, and to me, then, like, everything makes sense because everything is like an anchoring point. Like, all the stuff in the first, I think, 15 minutes continually comes back throughout the rest. Just continually. Like, everything he said or heard comes back in the movie over and over and over.
Totally.
And so, like, it starts to, like, be kind of clear that, like, before this even started, the credits even maybe are part of the memory. When we're seeing other things he couldn't possibly have seen, it's like, well, how's that part of the memory? And it's like, I mean, when you play a video game, you see stuff your character couldn't possibly have seen because it's part of the narrative, and the narrative wouldn't make sense without you seeing it. So in the memory, he's seeing those things. Or at least that's one reading. Of course, you can look at this entirely as straightforward, and it makes sense. Like, Verhoeven wanted that to be the case. He wanted it to be ambiguous as to whether or not this is fully straightforward, or if it's, he starts having the memory at a certain point, or if it's all a memory, or what's happening at the end specifically. Like, some people think the end is just the end of the memory. Some people think the end is just this victorious ending because he's saved Mars or whatever. And some people think the end is him having, he's dying. He dies. They give him a what do you call it?
Lobotomy.
Because
dude.
He had this symbolism.
There's like the white light at the corner of the screen that starts to fade out, which seems indicative of, like, brain death. I mean, from people who have, died and came back or whatever, they describe it as, there was a white light and it faded into my vision, blocked out my entire sense of vision. Like, that's what happens at the end of the movie. Like, you might just be experiencing fucking brain death, which makes this incredibly depressing.
It would make it incredibly depressing. Absolutely. Like, the entire idea, though, is depressing. The concept that you could have a memory implanted to not only, like, experience all of this stuff, but in the future, your brain will believe you did those things. Like, you will have the experience and all of the, like, relevant points in your brain for that to be real to you, but it didn't happen. And that's like,
but you'll still pay somebody for it,
right? And that's I mean, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, like, the idea that if a corporations have already figured out they can sell you something without you ever owning it. If they can sell you something without ever giving you anything, NFTs, they will 100% do it. And if they can make you think you had a vacation without giving you a vacation, guess what they're going to do? They're going to make you think you had a vacation.
Which honestly is a brutal reality, especially in a world where we're seeing so many people that cannot afford time off from work, cannot afford to take a vacation, cannot afford fucking shit because everything is so goddamn expensive now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If somebody could offer you, like, oh yeah, you can go in and get this thing done after work, and you'll have the memory and the euphoria of having an amazing, great trip, a great vacation, whatever experience it is that you wanted to, only it's going to be way cheaper. You don't have to travel. You don't have to take time off from work.
Yeah.
I know that there's people that would sign up in droves for it.
Yeah, absolutely, because they'd be like, well, at least it'll feel like I got a vacation. Because feeling like you got a vacation is easier than fighting. It's easier than fighting back and saying, no, you can't do this. I think also what this has going for it, on that front, on the anti-capitalist front, unsurprisingly with Paul Verhoeven, is the idea that when they will be able to sell you oxygen, they're going to.
Dude,
the second
fucking
they
real, man.
are able to, they're going to do it. So
yeah,
like when you think, you're out there, you're thinking, why would they let climate change go wild? They'll be affected. No, they won't. But they'll also be able to sell you a place to be able to breathe.
Totally,
which means you'll owe them everything.
Oh yeah, and if you can't afford it, you'll be one of the people that lives under the cheap dome and gets mutations and psychic powers.
Also, we got to talk about this because this is the most relevant movie somehow. It's about an Afrikaner who is involved in mining.
Yeah.
Ultra wealthy. And sets up a colony on Mars where he has complete control over people and sells them oxygen.
Who would ever do that?
That doesn't sound like anybody. No. Not Elon Musk, for sure.
Definitely not him. Not ringing any bells.
What?
At all. No. Completely unrealistic.
I just want to look at the fact that this movie is an adaptation of a short story written in 1966, and then over 16 years it went through 40 drafts in so many different hands. God. And we'll talk about the different hands, but it landed on something that is somehow entirely prophetic to today.
I mean, it's just like RoboCop, man. Paul has some kind of incredible way of predicting what American capitalist kind of society will turn into. He's always been on it.
I think it's just that it's always been clear. I mean, we were talking about it before. He's old. He's an old man.
Dude, born in 1938. Like, by the time he was making RoboCop, he was old as fuck.
Yeah. And I think, it's just that we're all so detached from the past, and we will remain detached from the past, unfortunately, due to constant propagandization. But we're so detached from the past that we don't realize that it's not John Carpenter and Paul Verhoeven predicting the future. It's that this was obvious then.
Yeah,
it was obvious.
It's like watching a ball in motion and being like, it's going to land right there.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're looking, you could tell.
Yeah, and so it's the same today. People are still saying these are the obvious dystopian things that are going to happen, and no one's moving out of the way. No one is. We're not. The revolution isn't starting, even though there are nations here where you can't. Nations in the entire globe where you can't collect rain because somebody else owns the water rights to the fucking rain.
That's scary. Yeah.
Just these things are not like wild predictions from these absolute geniuses. They're people who are just looking at the way things were.
Yeah.
And
they're not
saying,
Nostradamus.
This is obvious. This is clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
man, alive, dude. It's amazing, dude. And this movie is just brought to you by this fucking dream team. It's like, how could this have not been amazing when you're talking about a short story by Philip K. Dick, adapted by Dan O'Bannon from fucking Alien, directed by Paul Verhoeven, who is incredible, obviously.
Yep.
He directed Showgirls. Come on. Soundtrack by Jerry Goldsmith.
Absolutely.
Special effects by Rob Bottin.
Yeah.
And then the cast of characters that it has. Come the fuck on. This is a home run from start to finish, and it's crazy that it turned out that way considering all the trouble that it had in production. Because they've been trying to make this movie since the 70s, and there just was not the technology available to fucking do it.
Yeah, Ronald Shusett bought the rights for $1,000 back in 1974. This was before Dick was huge.
Wow. Have you read the book, by the way? Before Dick was huge.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I haven't
Dick was still small.
It's a short story. It's actually not that long, so that's why We'll talk about it. There's some third act issues for sure because
Kate read it today while she was getting her tattoo.
Okay.
She said it was like really short. She said it was really cool, and it doesn't really flesh out the movie that we're seeing. Right. That sets up a lot of the points that are covered in it.
Yeah. So that beginning with Ron Shusett and Dan O'Bannon, who worked together back in the day, sitting down and writing up a script and really having trouble with the third act even then, and not being able to find funding for what they wanted to do. It kind of languished for a while until a little bit later when they finally got some funding set up. They were about to start shooting in Australia with Patrick Swayze starring.
What?
And funding fell through. They already had sets and stuff set up and whatnot. Like it was getting going. Funding fell through. Well, the whole time that they were trying to get it made in the 80s, Schwarzenegger had become aware of it, and he was really interested in it, and he liked it. And so, once he kind of got the capital in Hollywood to be able to make projects get made, this was one of them that he started to focus on. And served largely as a de facto executive producer. Like he was involved in scripting, he was involved in sets, he was involved in all sorts of stuff.
Passionate about it, very passionate about making this happen,
getting this done, making this huge, epic, practical movie that you just don't see after this a lot. Like you're not going to see something that is, aside from the X-ray scene, I believe, all practical. There's blue screen stuff, but the screen is then showing practical models. Like you're not seeing CGI really here, except for the X-ray machine CGI. And this is one of the final ones. $50 million budget, gigantic in 1990. And it didn't fail. Like it succeeded 100%, not only at the box office but also in home video rentals. Went wild in home video rentals. So it kind of proved that it still needed to exist, but Hollywood doesn't listen, right? Because that same year, Home Alone comes out with a far lower budget and makes more money. And that's where you run into issues. Like the Hollywood money men, they are looking for return on investment. If they got to put $50 million in hopes of making 200 and something million, that's a huge risk. If they can put $19 million in and make a couple $100 million, that's way better to them. And it's unfortunate because this just proves people want these types of movies. They want these like bombastic casts and these like huge sets and like, I mean, Ronnie Cox and Michael Ironside in this are going insane. They are feral.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And people love this. Like, it went, it did really well in theater back then. People loved it on home video. I remember watching it back in the day. Everybody talking about it. Like, Quado and all that stuff. Sticking, culturally, relevant. Like, the fact that something of this scope could succeed so much, and then Hollywood's only real lesson from it is, well, we could spend less money and make the same. Like, that sucks.
How do they keep making the decisions when obviously it has been proven what people want to see, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's capitalism. Capitalism requires for the people who are risking the money to make money, effort, right? Yeah. So certainly if you put state funds towards things, which tons of countries do, and we've talked about movies like that a lot, you could come up with some creative stuff that maybe isn't for literally everybody, but is interesting and fun and entertaining or whatever it may be. You're not going to get that level of risk, especially with CGI anymore. Like, if they can fall back on CGI, they will. And this stands as a monument, though. Yeah.
Fuck, man. Yeah. Like, it is right there at the apex. Like, effects after this is when we start getting more stuff being done with CG. Yeah. Of course, Jurassic Park was really huge in that push. CG,
yeah. Uh-huh.
Which, you know, there's not that much in that movie, but I remember that was the one where people are like, oh my God, this is the future. We're going to do special effects with computers now. There's not going to be stuntmen and puppets and miniatures and shit. We're going to do it all on the computer now.
Yeah.
But this movie just happens to have come out at that apex where we have really, you know, gotten some incredible special effects artists on the team. They know how to put this stuff together. They know how to shoot it. And, dude, the special effects in this are just so unflinching.
Yeah.
Like, they just show you close-ups.
Yeah.
Like, not even trying to hide it. Because they're like, look, it looks fucking great, right?
And
like, they show you entire, you know, monologue scenes with Quato.
Yeah. Close-ups.
Fucking, yeah,
zooming in on his face, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No problem. It shows us, like, fake Arnie heads several times in this. I mean, the you know, eyes and tongue blowing up on Mars, the scene where he's transforming from the lady, and like it comes away from her head in those like bands, which I think that's a little CG right there, but there's like an Arnie double head underneath and shit. Like, they don't even try to hide the effects. They are in plain sight. They're brightly lit, not even trying, because they had gotten so good at it that it looks so convincing even on a close-up. Phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not surprising that it won the award for visual effects at the Academy Awards. Like,
oh my God, man.
Yeah, it is, you know, and we got, like, not just that, the sets and stuff, like the huge, like, nuclear reactor thing at the center of Mars.
So cool.
All like a large set, and it's amazing. I mean, you know, you got miniatures cool about and stuff, but it's gigantic.
I learned today that nuclear reactor looking thing that's happening inside of the mountain there. So Verhoeven had this idea that it should be, you know, really like inside like what a nuclear reactor looks like.
Right.
And the concept art they kept giving him was just kind of coming up short. It wasn't really doing what he wanted to. And one of the images that one of the artists had created there got put down in front of him upside down. Like, it had fallen on the floor and the image was upside down.
Yeah.
And that's where we get like the rods coming down, sinking into the material and shit. That was actually all supposed to be completely inverted.
Yeah.
But Verhoeven looked at the accidentally upside down image and he's like, oh, that's it. That's exactly what it should look like. So it was actually a happy accident that even created that shit.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw a couple of making of, and I heard him talking a little bit about that, about how, like, you know, once he saw that, he just had, you know, the idea of skyscrapers coming downward was like in his head, and that when you look at it that way, it kind of looks like these huge skyscrapers just going inward. Yeah.
But then you've also got all the great, like, 80s future brutalist, hard-angle concrete buildings that were just already in existence in Mexico City where this was fucking filmed.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, choosing brutalist architecture is perfect for a capitalist dystopia. Like,
make it out of concrete. Fuck it, it's functional.
Yeah, you don't have to cover anything. Functionality entirely. Yeah,
it's so
forever. Interesting that is the projection of like, oh, under communism, all your house is gonna look the same, and then you drive through the suburbs, and it's like, so is this communism?
Really? This is better? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I love the look of this movie, man. And, you know, having been to Mexico City many times, I can tell you there is still tons of that brutalist concrete architecture around there. It's right next to, like, crazy, like, Spanish villas and weird, like bohemian-looking architecture. Like, Mexico City is everything all at once. It's really fucking cool, but they really chose to focus on the weird futuristic parts of it that are just already in place for this movie, which is rad. They did a few things like replace some of like the, you know, the screens and some of the little high-tech things and all that
right.
jazz, but most of the structures in this were pre-existing.
Yeah. I think that like the aesthetic throughout, whether on Earth or on Mars, like they clearly put a lot of thought into making that work, because like the aesthetic on Mars, it feels like both like you're in a futuristic place, but that it was put up with the least amount of material possible. Like it's not brutalist because there's no architecture to it. It's just the as utilitarian as possible, because it's a mine. Like there are people living here, but even their living quarters are essentially just little bitty cubbies in the along the path. Like,
it's not a civilization; it's a work colony.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that like the comparison then, of like this would just be an absolute work colony. It's like, is Earth any different? Is Earth any different than just a work colony? Like, I like that comparison.
I love all the 80s future tech shit, man.
Yeah,
all the cars are like super angular and wedge-like.
So cool. Yeah.
Man, it kills me, dude, that like we could just make cars that look like that shit. We could just have some fun. Well, we don't.
But
come on.
Have you thought about how it could look like a shoebox? Kind of.
I mean, maybe it could look like a shoebox instead.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Could. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, dude, the look of the movie is just fucking fantastic. And, dude, the cast, man, come on.
Yeah, it's wild. There's so many people in this. And I as I said, Ronnie Cox and Michael Ironside are just going insane. Arnold is doing a great job. Sharon Stone is awesome in this.
Totally forgot she was in this. Dude. Opening credits is like Sharon Stone. I'm like, who the fuck is she? Then it's like, oh, she's like 2 scenes into the movie. Holy shit.
Yeah. Marshall Bell, who plays George/Quado, and also does the voice of Quado. Like, I've seen him in a ton of things, including Nightmare on Elm Street 2, where he plays the coach who gets whipped to death by towels.
Shit, that is what I knew him from. Dude, the whole time I was watching this, I was like, I know I recognize this guy from something.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that is totally him.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody, like, even, just small throw-off roles like Dr. Edgemar, like, Roy Brocksmith is going wild in that
He's
scene.
Great. He's awesome. Dang, Hank from Breaking Bad is in here, too.
Oh, yeah. Dean Norris is also in here, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him as the fucking pussy face guy. That's his name, right?
Yeah, it's his name. Pussy face
Benny,
guy.
Dude. Who's that guy?
Benny. Mel Johnson Jr. He's done a ton on Broadway, and had just like he had like right before this had dealt with a role where they wanted him to essentially just be a black stereotype. And so when he saw this role and the description of the character was he was a jivester, he instantly just kind of like threw the script across the room because he was just like tired of that shit.
Yeah, fuck that.
But he was encouraged to read it. He ended up reading it and he was like, oh, so this character, what he likes about the character is bad. Like that, the character is using the stereotypes to draw them in, and then he turns on them. Like he keeps saying he has 5 kids and stuff, and like he's essentially pretending using their stereotypical beliefs about black men against them, and then it's revealed that those things are all lies, and he's caught them essentially. So like once he saw that there was a lot more to the character. He was into it, and I think I'm really glad because I think that he brings something to the character, which is like there's a charm and whatnot to it. But even if I don't know, for me, I didn't remember from childhood that Benny was necessarily bad. So I'm watching and I'm like, I'm sold on him a little bit, but then I'm like, wait a second. Like some of the things he's doing is a little bit suspicious, but then we keep getting moments where it's like, oh, no, he's good. He's cool. But then it's like, well, I don't know. And then when he turns, it's like, oh, good. Cool. I see now. Like, they're not going to, because I really was just like, oh, they're just going to easily get away here. They're just going to put on their spacesuits and walk off with Quado. No. Nope. Quado gets killed by Benny. What? Great reveal. Dude. Great moment. I think the third act, suffers a little bit, but I'll talk about whether or not it's suffering or if that's just the way we should interpret the writing of the memory itself.
Right. Is it playing by its own rules, and that's why it is the way it is. I love that reveal, too, when Benny has the mutant arm. He, pops that hand off, and that weird, insectoid kind of arm pops out. That looks so fucking good. What a great effect.
Yeah. I do think, and some of the criticism of the movie was that the women characters are pretty flat. I think that, I don't know that that's fair entirely, but they don't have a ton to do. I think Sharon Stone's character is not entirely flat. There's something there. She has this she's putting up this front. She has this other man she's in love with. She hates Mars. She's mad as hell at this guy, at Quaid. I think there's a lot more going on with that, but there's not a ton in the script for her to do. But I think the fact that Melina is a little flat is because he chose that. He chose for her to be demure, but what was it? Demure but slutty or whatever. He chose this male fantasy of a flat character.
That's just what he wanted. So.
Yeah. So I don't know that can be criticized so much, but it is. I feel like it's a shame that neither one of them gets more to do.
That's fair.
But again, I think we are talking about a male fantasy. That's what this is. One particular male's fantasy. Mm-hmm. And that particular male's fantasy, he doesn't seem to value women highly. Mm-hmm. And that sucks. But that just tells us about that character more than being,
about women. Yeah.
About women. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking, is that when we're thinking about this character, we're shown him being, kind of meek with his wife and whatnot. But this is the memory he paid for, right? He's not going to remember himself being an asshole or anything. This is all fantasy. So
totally, man.
Yeah, it's real hard. Then, I mean, I know that Verhoeven and others weren't happy with the third act as is. But as a viewer, if we just take it at face value and go oh, the writing is bad because the person who wrote the memory was bad at writing, or because the person having the memory would love that ending. Right. It doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense or isn't really great. This person is the one who paid to have the memory, and that's the ending they would want.
That's right. Yeah, it kind of does the really convenient thing of automatically solving any problems that you might have with the movie. Where, I mean, there's so many times where it's Benny was just right there waiting on him again. There's 20 times in the movie where Benny is just conveniently there waiting on them. Even towards the end of the movie where it's just oh, we need to get to the alien reactor thing.
And he shows up with the drill.
It's right here.
Yeah. Yes.
That's almost like shit that happens in your dreams where the thing that I need to go to, it's right here. Let's go to it now. And but that's just there.
That's the thing is earlier in the movie, the guy who was selling him the memory talked about shady cab drivers.
Dude, the whole movie. He talks about lost luggage, shady cab drivers.
All sorts
I love the one line that little technician drops. Who's blue skies on Mars. Haven't seen that one. Yeah. And then immediately somebody else starts talking to kind of bury that line.
Right. Yeah. If you don't pay attention in that scene, a lot of the things that are being said, just even little background things by the assistant, are they are part of what's going to happen. He mentions the blue skies on Mars, and that is our ending, which then means that fully justifies okay, that's the ending this guy would want. That's the ending of this memory. The memory doesn't have to be well written. It's about
but at the same time,
person enjoying it.
It's all being based on stuff that they are pulling from his own memories. And there's so
yeah.
much little stuff in there that is like foreshadowing and context clues and shit. Like even, I don't remember if it's like the receptionist that's in there like changing her nail color or if it's...
Whatever that thing is needs to exist.
I want that. Yeah. Totally. Or maybe it's Dr. Lull, the lab tech lady, but like one of them is wearing earrings that look like the fucking reactors that you see at the end of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's cool.
They got like little dangly post things under like a pyramid. It's really, really cool. Just tiny details. And even like, okay, this is one I saw in like a video I was watching earlier about just little things hidden in the movie. But that the technician lady that's there, like that gives him the shot in the neck and stuff. So before he goes to sleep, she is Dr. Lull, right? Which obviously the meaning of lull, to lull you to sleep or whatever. And then after he wakes up and all the shit is like going wrong and, you know, he's enacting the ego fantasy thing and they're like, what's going on? We haven't even implanted it yet. She's referred to by her first name, which is Renata. Renata is translated to rebirth. It's like there's little details like that that are so fucking cool in the movie, man.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think like I understand the reading of everything up to the point where he comes in for the memory is just real. And that's his life and these things. And he's just Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that's just who he is. He's every man Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, totally.
But I also think like it makes all the sense in the world for me for the entire thing to be the memory, in that it's like all the things that are introduced in the first 15 minutes serve as anchors throughout the movie for everything else. And I feel like implanting a memory is that. Like, it's finding anchors. It's finding things that they know happened or know are real, and then using them and lacing them throughout so that the implanted memory feels real. And in fact, memory implantation has been studied, especially throughout the 90s following the Satanic Panic.
That's right.
And
obviously all the fucking MK Ultra stuff and all that too.
Right. Yeah. And they absolutely surprisingly found in the 90s that you can convince people, about 50% of people, that they have a memory of something that never ever happened.
Yep.
I don't know if anything ever happened with that. Did they ever use that research against us in any way?
No, never. No. Surely not. Berenstain Bears, we're looking at you guys.
Oh, boy.
We're looking at you guys.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. The fact that this movie also makes me just question, like, so if you could have a memory implanted, and we again, as I said, there's been research done on it. About 50% of people in some of the studies seem to be susceptible to having a memory implanted.
Yep.
How much can you trust any memory?
I know, right? I know. It is really, really murky waters, right?
Yeah. It really, like, and that's what I think the movie does real well is, and I think this is probably like someone really thinking through what would it take to implant a memory, but the fact that they have Dr. Edgemar show up and say, like, no, this isn't real. Like, none of this is real, etc.
I'm not here, yeah.
But then also have him sweat, which throws a little bit of doubt. Like, I think all of that is to make the memory implantation stick. It adds texture. It adds depth. It adds this, like, your brain has to make sense of everything that's going on, so it has to latch on to the memory that's happening.
Well, even your idea that the entire thing from frame one of the movie is the memory entirely,
right,
serves to hide where the memory began. It's like, in order to fully disguise that in your brain and make your brain accept it, you couldn't have the memory of when it started, when they implanted it in you. It would have to be buried so far back that it's already begun before you even think it started.
Yeah. And yeah, using the memory of you coming to get the memory implanted as part of the memory.
Perfect cover.
Yes.
Hidden in plain sight. And that idea that you've had here also explains one thing that I had questions about, which is why when the movie starts and he's just an ordinary guy that's not had his memory tampered with,
right?
He is already having dreams about being on Mars with Melina.
Yeah, that
and it
first
is Melina.
dream.
It's not some shadowy, well, it was a dark-haired woman, I never saw her face.
No, it's Melina.
It is her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then that comes true later. So
but that event doesn't happen. That, as I said, that is not an event that happens in the movie. That's just a dream he has.
Mm-hmm.
They never walk in spacesuits on Mars.
Right.
Like at any point in the movie.
So, it's cool because the ending shot with the blue skies mimics that opening shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're not in spacesuits and the sky's blue. It's cool.
Okay, so then and this is to me, I think that all makes sense because you're starting the memory on a dream, which leads the brain into the concept of I'm already thinking about this, but really it's not even a dream. It's an implanted memory itself. But there's also, and this is just a wild, and I'm pulling a little element from How Did This Get Made? Is this a Jacob's Ladder scenario?
Oh, dude, right? Oh, it's so fun to think of it that way.
Did he die in the opening, and this is what's going through his brain as he dies?
Oh, my God. That would be so fucking cool. See, again, you can watch the movie from that perspective. Totally.
Yeah, absolutely you can.
Choose your own adventure, man.
Choose your own adventure. Total Recall.
So here's the only thing that's weird about that, about honestly any viewing of the movie other than it's real.
Yeah.
So there are scenes in this movie that don't feature Quaid.
Yes, and that, if it's all a memory, how would that make sense, right?
How would he have a memory of a scene where he wasn't in the room?
Yeah.
And also, too, if it is an implanted memory, how did he not glean information from what was being talked about in the scenes that don't feature him in it?
Yeah, I did think that, and at a certain point I came to, I think the only answer is, I think that the person that is getting this memory implanted is dumb.
Dude,
not a smart
I wonder
person.
if after you kind of put this idea out there that the entire thing, was the memory from start to finish, they mentioned this person that's been lobotomized by this procedure multiple times in the movie. They mention him. They want you to remember this guy, even though we never see him, we never meet him, nothing.
Never find out who it is, right?
Dude, I wonder if this entire thing is just his memory. Are we watching the implanted memory of the guy who fucking died having this done?
Absolutely
he didn't die,
possible.
He was lobotomized.
Absolutely possible. And that's that. I mean, one of the things that is wild to me is that after 16 years of work and 40 drafts of a script and going through several different directors, including Cronenberg being attached for a good bit, all that, and we land on a script that it as you said, Dan O'Bannon is credited on this, but Gary Goldman can be largely credited for kind of making some things all connect, because they brought in Gary Goldman because they didn't fully have a third act and they didn't like certain things, specifically some dialogue and stuff. So he did a lot of what might be considered minor work that actually brings everything together and makes it work. And he is also the writer of Big Trouble in Little China. So,
oh shit, man!
Yeah, there are a lot of names attached to this, and
they're awesome.
Yeah, and I think that original script and some of the stuff rewrites along the way, and then Gary Goldman just polishing it up, and Paul Verhoeven having a great understanding of how to make mind-bending stuff like this work in a way where people aren't going to walk away and feel cheated. Yeah. Which you could feel cheated with the ending of this. You could just be like, wait, what?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But I think for me, I don't walk away feeling cheated. I walk away, as you said, just my mind's racing. I'm trying to think of all the different layers and figure out like what makes the most sense to me.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
I love it, man. And it's something that we have seen copied in so many movies past this, dude.
Yes, we have.
Mm-hmm. The Matrix, I mean, is a very obvious one that even goes as far as to giving you the red pill to escape the simulation. Like, it's absolutely referencing this movie. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has so much of this movie in it.
It does. It absolutely does.
Blade Runner, which came before this, was also Philip K. Dick, so no surprise there. Dealing with these functions of like, am I real because I think I'm real? How do I know that reality is real? How do I know that my memories are true? How do I know that this isn't the first day of reality for all I know? Like, that's, dude, I swear, man, for like as long as I remember, I have had ideas about, the possibility of us all living in a simulation. Like, I've had
absolutely. Me too.
These thought experiences my whole life where I'm like, what if today is actually the first day of reality? And all of my memories were just implanted, and I just woke up today. They feel real, but they feel real to me. Sure,
you can only experiencing them by remembering them. So
and that's pretty flimsy.
It's pretty flimsy. Memory, as we said, memories can be implanted. Memories change over time. Like,
exactly. Yeah. So like, I've had these ideas forever, and it's always been like a really fun, kind of nihilistic thought experiment in a lot of ways for me, just to think of it that way, where it's like, what if today was just the grand result of some guy running the simulation being like, okay, we're going to run a simulation to see what would happen when a 39-year-old male straight musician has a podcast to do and a guest guitar solo to record. Let's run the simulation and see how he handles it with these other exterior factors. Let's just see. And for all I know, when I go to sleep tonight, it's over. And that's just the end of the entire thing. There's nothing I can do to prove that that's not what's going on.
100%. No, I absolutely. Yeah, I grew up loving movies like this because it would always like verify that I wasn't the only one thinking these things. And as an adult, it's real nice to be reminded, like, tons of other adults are thinking about these same things. You're not alone. It's normal to be considering this stuff. It's a good reminder, too, because when, I very easily fall into everything's a simulation, etc. And when I do that, I oftentimes forget, like, okay, but if it is a simulation, like, people have feelings and stuff. Like, you still have to, even if everything you're experiencing isn't real, like,
it's all I have.
It's all you got. It's all you got. So you really just have to make the most of it. And it sucks. It sucks to think of it that way. To think like, oh, none of this could matter. But I also have to experience it. So
oh man, it's such a mind fuck, and that's obviously something that goes all the way back to. Fuck, dude, was it Plato in the cave? The shadows on the wall of the cave. I mean, it all goes back to a long time ago. We've been dealing with this stuff for a really long time, questioning our own reality, and I just tend to love whenever pieces of fiction go in that direction to explore those possibilities. I mean, obviously I love The Matrix and some of those other flicks I talked about. Inception is also another one that clearly is, dabbling with the same subject matter. I mean, I say that it was influenced by it, but at the same time, it's like, as I just said, it's not like Total Recall invented the idea of what if this is all fake? I mean,
no, but it is a highly influential movie at a very specific time at 1990, about 8-9 years before any of these things you're talking about would come out. So there's very much this likelihood that there's an influence. I mean, because Matrix also has like these huge like landscapes that look like miniatures and whatnot, though I think they're probably CGI. But the Matrix also does a lot of things that you see in this movie, so I could see some influence in that. And the Wachowskis are definitely like they're definitely nerds. So,
they know this stuff inside out for sure, man. Speaking of the idea of wanting this new reality, this memory implant. And some of the ideas that you're putting out about this, that makes the question that I had that started as kind of a funny idea, it makes it more deep and more sad for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
So I had this idea earlier today where I was like, okay, you're fucking Arnie, you're in your 40s and jacked as fucking shit, still look like goddamn, Captain America. Your wife is Sharon Stone, who is smoking hot. You seem to have a pretty comfortable lifestyle.
Yeah.
Who the fuck would want a vacation from being Arnie? Like, who the fuck?
Yeah, and that is like one of the criticisms of the film, because the short story is about an everyman character getting to experience being unique and special, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is a bodybuilder,
unique and special.
Who is gigantic and unique and special, and him seeking solace from, I don't know, having to have sex with Sharon Stone. Okay.
But at the same time, it is kind of sad to show you that he is, even though he outwardly has all these things that a lot of us want, huge big muscles and, gorgeous hot wife and pretty decent living, he still yearns for more. It's still, even though by appearances looks great, it's still something in him that wants to be something unique, something more, something special. It kind of goes to show you that even though you have the big muscles and the gorgeous wife, sometimes that's still not enough.
Yeah, I think, it's obvious that, this is written well before. I think maybe some video game existed in 1966, but I'm not positive on that. But well before the idea of people like living out fantasy lives in video games. But the fact that you can live out a fantasy life in a video game and people do it constantly is pretty well proof that it doesn't matter who you are. People just kind of want to experience a different experience.
Man, I'm telling you, like, I've had this philosophy forever. All you got to do to really know somebody inside and out is watch which characters they pick in fighting games, dude. Like, look at the people that always gravitate towards the bruisers. Look at the people that want to be the light, agile chicks that are, fast and light damage. Like, look at the guys that choose the all-arounders. Like, it tells you a lot about the person that you want to be, the characters you gravitate towards in fighting games, for fucking sure.
Awesome. I never thought about it, but yeah, you're right.
It's a thing, dude.
I say it'd probably be true of Mario Kart as well. So,
absolutely so,
there you go.
Yes.
You can translate that if you're not a fighting game fan.
Yeah. But I like your idea, too, though, where if this, from the start is all the memory, then this guy that chose this memory wanted to be some big, beefy jack guy.
Yeah.
Like that works out perfect for why this everyman character we're supposed to follow working his 9-to-5 jackhammer job is already some fucking superhero action figure looking guy.
Yeah. And then we have no idea who's really experiencing this or whatever. It would just be, it's fantasy fulfillment. And honestly, like that is a lot of what I think, because I know a ton of us through the 80s were watching Schwarzenegger movies as kids and watching like Hulk Hogan as kids. And a lot of that was this like fantasy fulfillment of one day I'll be this gigantic adult.
Oh, dude, I just figured like you turned 20 and you had big WWF muscles.
Me too.
I swear. I kept waiting. So I was like, when do I grow the muscles?
Yeah. Well, I had the Hulk Hogan workout set, so I was working on them. Yeah.
Shit, yeah. Saying your prayers, taking your vitamins, baby.
I was lifting those little blue weights. Ooh, boy, dude. I'll tell you what. But yeah, I think that like so much of just these big muscly guys was fantasy fulfillment for a particular set of young boys.
Totally.
And
absolutely.
So using Arnold Schwarzenegger as this, who would this everyman character want to pretend to be, is kind of perfect.
I know, man. And it's just another one of those times that it's totally unexplainable, man. But like Arnie in a lot of these movies that we know and love is simultaneously like the most perfect choice and the worst choice ever to play these roles. Like, it's so hard to describe because he is so just ultra distinct. That accent is heavy as fuck. He cannot disguise it. Like, he's not like there's so many of those actors, that you finally see a candid interview with him and you're like, oh shit, he's British? What the fuck? I had no idea all this time. No, Arnie is just always fucking Arnie.
Always
That's
Arnie.
just who he is.
Yeah.
Totally undisguised, extremely extreme in all ways. it's kind of funny, man. It kind of goes back to that thing we've talked about many times on the show about how, given a long enough time span, the limitation becomes the appeal, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
8-bit artwork, chip tunes, all this stuff where, it wasn't that way by design. It was just the most they could work with. That becomes the appeal after you've been exposed to it long enough. And that's Arnie movies, dude.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a super advanced AI created a robot and gave it an Austrian accent.
Austrian accent for some fucking reason.
Okay.
Why?
But I don't think about it ever. I just watch the movie and go like, I guess that's what robots sound like.
Sure. Why not, man? Yeah, the limitation becomes the appeal, and that's Arnie's entire career.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's funny because, like, I know that when we were kids and, teenagers in the 90s, it's like, you thought about Arnie, you thought about just meathead shit. It's just like, just fucking dumbass action movies. But, man, a lot of these flicks have so much depth to them.
They do. They do. I think he very much is clearly interested in these types of films and did more beyond this as well. He is a meathead in a lot of ways. But I think he strives for more. Like he wants to be more, and he wants to do these interesting thought experiment types of films. And it's crazy to me that he does things like Running Man and Total Recall, and then is like, yeah, I'm a libertarian, and it's like, what?
How? What?
So you made those movies and you're like, the corporations are right.
Yeah, okay. Apparently.
All right.
That's strange. By the way, it's also fun in here that we get to see him as the antagonist also. Like, he is his own worst enemy in this movie.
Yeah, that's great. It is. And he does do something different with, what's his name? Hauser.
Yeah, his mannerisms are totally different.
Completely differently than he plays Quaid.
Yeah, man, it's so good, dude. And man, the violence in this is so glorious. This movie is so fucking violent. This is more violent than 90% of the movies we do on this fucking horror movie
people
podcast.
Die in this than die in most horror movies.
The kill count is 77 people.
It's crazy.
Like, that's more than, like, most of our, slasher icons kill in their entire 10-movie career, dude.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about, like, enemy combatants. It's not like, two sides firing at each other. It's just a bunch of innocent people getting killed. Like, crazy.
Yeah. Oh, man. And it's brutal. And apparently, it was even more brutal originally, man. Paul loves violence.
He does. He does.
If you've seen RoboCop, you fucking know.
Absolutely.
Apparently, those scenes, like when Richter gets like his arms ripped off in that elevator, which is so great. And dude, the follow up of like "See you at the party" is so good. It's so fucking good. He's just holding these two severed arms. "See you at the party," and throws them down. Apparently that was like way more brutal. Benny's death when he gets screw you, he gets drilled was apparently way savage, and they had to tone down a lot here. I wish I could have seen those original scenes, dude.
Yeah, me too. I wish there was some sort of like unrated edition of this, because I love how much Paul Verhoeven just loves unflinching violence, because like it's, you watch a Rambo movie and people get shot at and just fall over and
fall down.
Like in this, it's like, no, when people get shot, it's gruesome. It's terrible.
I'm telling you, one thing I was really appreciating in this, every time, well, that sounds weird to say appreciating, but whenever you see people getting, mowed down by machine guns and shit, the squib work in this, you don't see this in movies anymore. Like those squibs that go off, and they go off with such force that they like tear the clothing. And blood ruptures out of them. Like, I'm sure some of the pain you see on these people's faces is real, because that shit had impact, and they don't use those anymore. But it's kind of like that scene in RoboCop when that guy gets shot by like 8,000 bullets up in that boardroom scene, and you're like, I guess he's dead for sure.
I guess they just murdered that man.
Like he knows, and it's him and Rob Bottin obviously really knew how to make gunshots that looked very fucking real.
Yeah.
They look fantastic on screen, and the blood spray and everything. It's perfect, man. Great violence in this.
Yeah. I think, some of the other criticisms I saw were that, the fact that one of the mutations is 3 titties. It's like
3 titties.
It's obviously so like aimed at, pleasing the audience and whatnot, whereas all the other mutations are unattractive. This one just happens to be 3 titties.
Okay, you know what? That's a fair point. The other mutation's less attractive, but she just happens to get an extra boob, because it would be better than
perfectly formed right in the middle.
Yeah, that's fair. But again, if this entire thing is a male fantasy that some guy paid for, checks out.
That makes sense. What would a man want more than anything? A third boob right in the middle.
I wouldn't,
I
and
wouldn't
if you
either.
want that,
That's a little
all you gotta
off,
do, it's hard to beat symmetry, but all you gotta do, just kind of cross your eyes a little bit, looking at a pair of boobs next time.
You can
make
get
it
4
yourself.
of them. Yeah,
exactly. You can choose how many you want to see, guys. Come on.
Yeah, the actress who played that character, Mary, Alicia Naff, has actually worked in journalism for a while and was one of the journalists to help to expose Cosby in 2014.
No shit.
Yeah. So,
whoa.
Yeah. She definitely has said that she felt exposed. Yeah. Even though her actual breasts weren't out in this movie, like that, because it's so realistic looking and her shirt's just open and people are still looking at them the way you look at breasts. I think it's interesting. That character, as you said, like when we're looking at this as a memory that is being implanted by a man who's just playing out a fantasy, of course that makes sense. But if you're trying to see this as a movie in which, like, everything that is happening is just on face value, like, this is a movie about a guy who wanted to get a memory implanted, but instead ends up going to Mars because his actual memory was erased.
Yeah.
Then, it's like, well, why is there a mutant with 3 titties?
Well, and either way, you're participating in it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is that. See, I like to think of it in a little bit more fun context than that, though. Let's not get too down in the doldrums here. I like to think that Paul Verhoeven was maybe looking at like the guidelines for ratings, and he was like, "Let's just see here, how many boobs can I show in a movie?" And it was an odd number. It was like 9. And he was like, "So I could show the same woman's boobs 4 times, and then in one scene she is just dumping 1 out." What if I am showing 3 boobs 3 times on the same woman? Then I reach the guideline of 9 boob. He's from Holland, so I'm doing.
He is from Holland, yeah, and that's not a bad impression, honestly.
I think that's what happened. Honestly, that's how they landed on the 3 boobs.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
checks out.
I'll tell you this: when little me saw this, I was just appreciative that boobies were on screen. Adult me seeing this, I can completely understand people criticizing it, but as you said, and as I keep saying, it's male fantasy. Yeah. And this male in particular the fantasy is he's got a hot wife at home, but he's going to go to another planet to get another hot chick. Like, the guy sucks. And I think he's dumb. I think the person having this memory is a piece of shit who's kind of dumb.
It could be.
That's okay, because the movie is playing out all sorts of like interesting philosophical concepts, and also essentially is just a very simplistic Western about the boss of a mining town taking on this hero who's come in with his white hat. Like,
sure sounds like it when you put it that way.
Yeah, it's
in this case the white hat is a lobotomy.
Or that lady's head that he threw at them and then it explodes.
Oh yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. She did so great with her face like that. Like,
oh my
all
God,
that like contorting
so good,
stuff
man.
and whatnot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll use this as an opportunity to point out, though. I mean, you're talking about some of the scummier elements of this, but look, at the same time, even the bad guy in this, Richter, during that scene, hey man, he corrects his pronouns. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did catch that. In fact, yeah,
he goes, "Get him, her."
Right? Yeah, that was interesting. There's also, the nurse or the doctor, Dr. Lull, asks if tells him to be honest and ask his sexuality, and when he says heterosexual, she seems kind of disappointed.
Yeah, totally. It's like, yeah.
Oh. There's also another little like cameo that I thought was interesting, and I had to look him up because I had seen him a million times. It's Mickey Jones, who plays a burly miner whenever like they're in the little train coming in, and he's looking out the window and he sees like the big huge like mountain, and that guy says, "I used to work there in that mine."
Oh, yeah.
Mickey Jones, the drummer for the first edition Kenny Rogers band that sang a version of Just Dropped In to see what my condition was in.
Holy shit. Are you serious?
I am serious. The guy has
Why is he in here?
he was starting acting, and he's in like a ton of other stuff after this. But he's just got that one line in this, and I was like, he looks so familiar, so I had to look him up, and he is in a ton of stuff I've seen, but happens to have also been a drummer for Bob Dylan and for the first edition and several other bands, so that's pretty cool.
Well, he's a drumming man, he's an acting man, he's a music man, and like I mentioned before, this has soundtrack by the legendary Jerry Goldsmith. I think that's one of the most incredible composers in film history. And everything that he does in this serves the movie entirely. Like, one thing I wanted to point out as a potential criticism is that there's not really a super memorable theme to this movie. Like, I can't think of what the Total Recall song is, It's not like thinking about the Terminator theme or some other iconic, Arnie flicks. But at the same time, this movie is so full of action and explosions and gunfights and loud shit all the time that there's not really a ton of room for like super memorable soundtrack. It's really just supporting what's going on screen, and that's kind of exactly what a soundtrack is supposed to do, Yeah,
I think so. I think like it never has anything that does stand out, but at no point is it not like rocking? Like it's like it's killing it. Which, yeah, you're right. Like that does exactly what a soundtrack is supposed to do. It's providing the atmosphere, providing the tone while not overtaking any of the action or any of the dialogue. So yeah. I mean, yeah, like it is considered some of his finest work, even though, as you said, like there's not a standout necessarily.
Mm-hmm. There's some interesting little touches they do with the soundtrack that's kind of cool too. So early in the movie, when we see the commercials for the Total Recall company, it's got this particular little musical thing going on behind it, and as the movie is ending and we're getting that white fade, the possible return to reality or the return to lobotomy as it could be, the soundtrack is that same music, almost like you're like waking up to the Total Recall office again or something, which is fucking sick, man.
Okay.
Like that's a sick ass touch, right?
That is okay. I did not realize that. That's really cool.
Yeah, man. Did you ever see the remake?
No. I had no interest whatsoever in seeing the remake, and have never like. Every time I like pass it on some streaming service, I'm like, why? Like, why? Just why?
Yeah. Anyway, why would you attempt to remake this movie that is basically perfect? I mean, this movie has so much stuff I love, dude. It has crazy existential questioning reality shit in it. It has the you could view this multiple ways kind of narrative going for it. It has big ass action. It has funny stuff, but it's not stupid.
No, it's not. It's just got a few humorous moments, but it never falls into the traps a bad movie would fall into. Like if somebody who didn't know what they were doing just trying to make this exact same movie, I could see so many ways it would go bad. But this is just handled absolutely perfectly, it feels like to me.
Totally agree, man. And whenever I started this the other night and I looked at the runtime of like 2 hours, it is like a full fucking 2 hour long movie. I was like apprehensive. I was like, oh man, like I don't know if I have it in me to watch a 2 hour long action movie.
Right.
But it blows by, dude.
It does.
It's nonstop fucking action.
It is.
But it's somehow not exhausting. Like there's some movies that are just nonstop and you're like, God damn, like give me a break already. Let me enjoy some character development or something. This never stops and it somehow works.
Yeah, I would agree. It never feels boring to me. There's no moment that, like, I guess the moment that slows down the most is the Quado moment, but if you're bored during that, it's like, are you not seeing the little baby face man?
Right.
That has psychic powers.
Open your mind. Yeah, that moment is like low, but it's so fucking weird and like mystical and strange that it draws you in.
It does. Yeah, I think. And also, by the way, that is a moment where Quaid is seeing the narrative play out somewhere else. Like, it almost then excuses if the beginning bits and earlier bits where he's not in them are narrative that he's still experiencing as part of the memory. Because maybe it's a mystical Quado type of thing. Who knows, you know?
Yeah. Ooh, that's cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, it's fucking awesome, man. Do you have any other big things you want to point out about the flick before we wrap up?
No, just that it is amazing to see a movie that uses so much like miniatures and set decoration and just like practical stuff. Like you miss it after so many years of seeing people standing on green screens and having nothing to interact with and whatnot.
Yes.
Like this is everything could be interacted with in some way, and that's amazing.
Shit, yeah, man. It gives you a hit of the real stuff when you see those miniatures and those immaculately shot special effects that just took hours and hours and hours of work from skilled technicians. Even the Quado puppet took like 15 people to operate.
It's
Holy
amazing.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
Like there's just not people putting that much work into special effects now, and it's not because the people aren't there and wanting to do it. It's because studios are just trying to fucking save some money.
Yeah, and they always have been. I mean, if you check out this month's Legacy Brutality, we'll be talking about Lon Chaney butting up against the studios and how long it took him to do his makeup or whatever. Like, studios have always wanted it to be faster, cheaper, fewer people getting paid, etc. I miss that. I miss these real big, like, it's clear so many people worked on this type of films.
Yeah, and people give a fuck about it. Like, this movie just reeks of give a fuck.
Absolutely. They want everything to look perfect.
Yep, and it does. It really does.
I agree, man. Yeah.
God, what a fucking fun movie. I'm glad that we pulled this one out to do for our Christmas spectacular. It had been too long since I watched it. I will watch it again so fucking many times, man. This is going to be in the regular rotation for me.
Yeah. And I should watch it more often. I do tend to, like, if I'm thinking of an Arnie movie, I'll go to things like Predator or Commando or something like that. But I need to remember. Yeah, Total Recall's awesome.
I need to recall Total Recall.
Absolutely. So yeah, slapping a number on this one, boy, let me tell you, I don't know what I gave Running Man. I think this is a better film than Running Man. Obviously,
Agreed.
I put it on the Mount Rushmore. But as I said, if we look at it straightforward and knowing that the people who worked on it aren't happy with the third act, I do see the third act issues, but I think it's excusable for all the different ways in which it can be read.
Totally.
I don't like looking back 33 years. The effects are amazing. Like, you can't find a fault with them 33 years later. So that's awesome. Cast is great. The only problems I could possibly have with this is that, like, while you want the ending to be ambiguous, it's hard to nail anything down as to what might be the reality of this. But I don't mind that. I actually like that. So
me too.
Yeah. So for me, this, like, very easily is up in, like, the 9 territory, I feel like. And I feel like every Verhoeven movie we're going to ever do is probably going to get a high ranking. But this one, to me, it's not as good as RoboCop, but only slightly worse. Like, not in any hugely tangible way. It's just that RoboCop, I feel like, is tighter. And this has, some areas where I'm a little bit apprehensive about any one, like, reading of this. But that's fun. So I'm saying 9. What about you?
Yeah, I get you, man, entirely. I'm going to give this like a 9.5 for everything that you said. And the only reason I'm not going 10 is because if a movie like T2 or Predator or RoboCop is a 10, this is not slightly less. Yeah. And it's not for any, really obvious glaring reason. It's just that those movies are better. Another level. It's just another tier up. It's just better, I agree. And man, my God, man, this movie is just the fucking shit. I love it. I'll watch it so many more times from here on out. And huge fan of this one. I want to find out what you guys think about it over on our Facebook fan group. Join up, hang out with your boys, hang out with all the cool people like yourself. Give us your Mount Rushmore. Keep having to think about what that's called.
Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know. I mean, over there on Instagram, Facebook, etc., is all those places. We're on Linktree /Dead and Lovely. You can find all of our links over there. Also, if you want to give us some dollar papers, other than heading over to our Redbubble store, you could head to patreon.com /Dead and Lovely, where you can become a patron on any level, and you'll get access to our Patreon exclusive episodes. That includes, the Hell Rankers, the Addendum, Ben's book club, his one-man book club, and we'll have the Hell Rankers on Home Alone out before Christmas. So that'll be ready for you. So when your family's nagging at you, oh, we want to open presents, say, shut up! I'm listening to Hell Rankers. And then after that, they can open presents.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you want to happen, right?
Yeah. Oh, but also, if you want to become a $5 patron, you get to throw a movie into the smoking bowl, and then we draw from the smoking bowl, and we cover that movie. And next week, we're going to be doing that exact thing. So pay attention to the social medias on Friday to see what that movie is going to be.
Watch the skies. You're going to find out when we do what movie we're going to be covering on the next episode. Look forward to checking out what it is and ending the year of 2023 with a bang. Woo! So, check it out. We'll find out on the next installment of Dead and Lovely. Thanks so much for listening. Hope everybody out there has a great and safe holiday weekend, or just a regular weekend if you're not doing the holidays. Who gives a shit? Hope you guys have fun either way.
Yeah, me too. Ha ha ha, ho ho ho, and a couple of tra-la-las.
How about it? Peace.
Yep. Bye.
Man, I'll tell you what, with it being the week of Christmas, I've tried to set up a little bit of Christmas magic here at home.
Okay.
I did what I usually do around this time of year, which is to leave a half a pack of smokes out in an old coffee tin out on the porch in hopes that Jimmy Lakins, the singing Christmas hobo, will once again return. I think maybe I should check and see if he's picked up on this, and maybe he's decided to pay us a visit. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that time of year, I guess. I mean,
okay.
Last time he stopped in, it was a few years ago. I feel like that fella He sure loves to sing a song when he comes
He loves
around.
to, man.
Yeah.
It's really his time of year to shine, so it'd be a real shame if we didn't let him shine this year round. So let me pick up the microphone, and I'm gonna take some steps. See if you can hear my feet here. This is me stepping to the windowsill.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I see him out there. He is here. I can see the cherry of his cigarette lit up out on the porch. Let me open up the door. Come on in, Jimmy. Grab yourself a seat, buddy. It's good to see you again. It's Christmas time. Sit in front of this microphone and holler into that can a little bit for us. Okay, here we go. Here's Jimmy Lakins, guys. It's me, kids. Jimmy Lakins. The singing Christmas hobo.
Yeah, I
here
remember
to tell you a
Mm-hmm.
song about Christmas time. Have you been a good boy this year, Stevie?
I don't know that I have, but a little bit, yeah.
Well, whether you've been good or bad, a little Christmas song that I'm gonna sing for you sure is gonna bring some holiday cheer.
Yeah, I need some
What
of
do you know
that.
about a night that wasn't loud? It was a very quiet night in which a baby was being born out in a stable long ago. It's a night called a Silent Night. You ready for this one?
Okay. Let's. I think I know this one.
Let me tell you a song about it. Silent night. Holy night. All calm. All bright. All right. Round a virgin. Mama, child. Holy infant tender mild. Sleep, child, heavenly peace, sleeping in a heavenly peace. Let me play a little hobo lick right here. There you are now, child. It was a silent night.
I feel like you're the exact person to ask about this. Now, if a virgin's giving birth, just how is it a silent night?
Listen, I got a train to catch, son.
Oh, Jiminy, no!
I got this half a pack of smokes out here that's calling my name. I'll see you guys again next year.
It's good to see you,
little
buddy.
Boys and girls. Wow, man. Jiminy Lakins
Yeah,
once
he
again
stopped
making
by.
an
Wow.
appearance. It's not often you get to see him, but if you've been a good boy all year long and you leave him a half pack of smokes, an old coffee can out on the porch, maybe he'll come tell you a song too.
Maybe he'll tell you one.
Bye, Jiminy.
Bye, Jiminy. It's good to see you, buddy.